Good morning, everyone. So the second lecture on this is the second lecture on the topic Council of Minister of the Unit Prime Minister, Unit 3rd. As we have done basics of Prime Minister, now in this one we'll be doing about Council of Ministers. So Article 74 and 75 of our Constitution, they specifically talks about the Council of Minister. 74 talks about Council of Minister. Now, this shows what is the article. If you read Article 74 clause 1st, it says that there shall be a Council of Minister with a Prime Minister at the head to aid and advise the President. So, Article 74, it deals with the status of Council of Minister. While Article 75, it deals with the appointment, tenure, responsibility, qualification, oath and salary allowances of the minister. So 74(1) says that there shall, it's not written may, it's written shall, it has to be, that there has to be a Council of Minister with the Prime Minister, and that Prime Minister will be the head, and the Council of Minister will be for the aid and advice. This is what it says, that there shall be a Council of Minister with the Prime Minister at the head to aid and advise the President. The Council of Minister with the Prime Minister at the head will be, there has to be a Council of Minister with Prime Minister as a head to aid and advise the President, to help and advise the President. Who shall, further reading, who shall in exercise of this line, who shall in exercise of his function act in accordance with such advice. But President may require the Council of Minister to reconsider such advice, and the President shall act in accordance with the advice tendered after such reconsideration. So this says that President can require the Council of Minister to reconsider that advice. So as we know, Constitution of India, it provides a parliamentary system of government which is modeled on British pattern. The Council of Minister, it is headed by the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister is the real executive authority. President is the executive authority, Prime Minister is the real executive authority in this system, our politico-administrative system. Now this principle of parliamentary system of government, it is given in detail in the Constitution, but Article 74 and 75 it deals, specifically it deals with the status of the Council of Minister. And as said, 75 deals with appointment, tenure, responsibility, qualification and oath. Now, the next point, a minister must be a member of either House of Parliament. So, a minister has to be a member of either House of Parliament, and if a person who is not a member of either House of Parliament, it is talking about the Council of Minister. The minister, he has to be a member of any of the House of Parliament, be it Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Then if a person who is not a member of either House of Parliament, he is appointed as a minister. he shall be ceased to be a minister after 6 months. So he has to be a member of either House of Parliament. Next, the next point says that minister may be chosen from members of either house, and a minister who is member of one house has right to speak and to take part in the proceeding of other house. So if a minister, if he is chosen from member of any of the house, and a minister who is member of one house, he has right to speak and to take, he has right to speak and take part in the proceedings of the other house. But he would not be given any right to vote, in which he is not a member. Though he can take part in the proceedings but not vote. Now moving on to the total number of ministers, including the Prime Minister, in the Council of Ministers. It shall not exceed 15% of total strength of the Lok Sabha. Now this provision was added by the 91st Amendment. Amendment Act of 2003. That is, the total number of ministers with the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers. In the Council of Ministers, total number of ministers, I will be explaining further what all Council of Ministers consists of. So it will be more clear. But till here you understand that the total number of ministers, it shall not exceed, in the Council of Ministers, it shall not exceed 15% of the total strength of Lok Sabha. It was added by 91st Amendment Act. Now, what is the principle? As said, Article 75, it deals with appointment, tenure, responsibility, qualification. Collective will be understanding collective responsibility in it. So Article 75, it clearly states that Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Yeah, before understanding this, let me tell you about Council of Ministers have 3 categories of minister. Before moving on to this point, the first is the cabinet minister, then the state minister and a deputy minister. Now what does it mean? What is the difference between them? And we will be understanding what is a cabinet minister, then what is a state and deputy minister. So in this case, cabinet minister, it is an informal body of senior ministers. Suppose if there are 3 circles, this, this and this, right? Now the small one, if you understand, it is the inner circle consists of the cabinet minister. The outer to it consists of minister of state, and the last circle, it consists of deputy minister. So what we need to understand is cabinet minister, the first point, cabinet minister, it leads a ministry, and minister of state, the second point, the minister of state, they are on the outer circle. So cabinet minister, it leads a ministry, but the minister of state, they are of 2 kinds. Minister of state having independent charge, and a minister of state with independent charge is a junior minister. He does not report to a cabinet minister, whereas a minister of state without independent charge, It's also a junior minister, and he report to cabinet minister. So Minister of State is given a specific responsibility in that ministry. Whereas, as said, a cabinet minister, it leads a ministry. Moving on to deputy minister. Now, what is a deputy minister? They are those who have not been given any independent charge of ministry. Deputy minister, they assist the state or cabinet minister, but they are not being given any independent charge of ministry as given to the state minister. They do not take part in any important cabinet deliberation. And council of minister, it is the cabinet which meets as summoned by the prime minister. So when a prime minister summon, it is the cabinet which meet, not the state and deputy minister. As deputy minister does not have any independent charge of ministry, and the state minister they have independent charge. They are also called a junior minister who does not report to any cabinet minister. The state minister do not report to a cabinet minister, called the junior minister. Then cabinet minister, they attend meetings of their own for their own right. Minister of State only attend meetings on invitation. So that is the whole difference between cabinet minister and minister of state. Hope it is clear that minister of state, cabinet minister, they attend the meetings for their own rights. Whereas the minister of state, they also attend meetings but only on the invitation. Right? So this difference between them, they lies in the respective rank, emoluments and political importance. Now the cabinet, it must be small enough, but its size which has to range between 12 to 18. It has been, though it is on the political consideration, but fine. Now let's move on to cabinet minister. So it is clear. Moving on to cabinet minister. The difference is clear. Okay, we were doing this. Before moving, now let us understand what is collective responsibility. Article 75 states that Council of Minister, I explained it. It have three categories. Then Council of Minister, they're collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Whatever they does. They're collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So this means that all the ministers own joint responsibility to Lok Sabha for any of their act, their omission and their commission. They are jointly responsible to Lok Sabha. Whereas individual responsibility, Article 75 also contains the principle of individual responsibility. Now, it states that the minister hold office during the pleasure of the president, which means that president can remove a minister even at a time when the Council of Ministers enjoys the confidence of Lok Sabha. So they are individually responsible. Ministers hold office during the pleasure of president. And this means that if the president can remove a minister even at the time when Council of Ministers enjoys the confidence of Lok Sabha. That is what individual responsibility is. This is the principle on which cabinet system of our government it works, right? So this is the collective responsibility is the most important feature of this government. It is the principle of responsibility of minister to the parliament. This means that they can live in office only so long as they enjoy the confidence. Now what does this mean? That they are responsible to Lok Sabha. This means that they can live in office as long as they enjoy the confidence or the pleasure of parliament. So they also say that they are collectively responsible. They sink and swim together. This is the famous notion, and they keep saying that they sink and swim together. Now, moving on to cabinet minister. The cabinet minister head the important ministries of central government like home, defense, finance, external affairs and so forth. They are member of the cabinet, attend its meeting and play an important role in deciding policy. So their responsibility extend over the entire gamut of central government. Then 352 was inserted in Constitution by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now what does Article 352, it defines the cabinet by saying that it is the council consisting of Prime Minister and other minister of cabinet rank. Though it is not describing its powers and function, but it describes about cabinet. Right? It describes about cabinet. Then role of a cabinet, it is the highest decision making authority in our political administrative system. So it is the highest decision making authority. This is important. It is the chief policy formulating body of central government. It is supreme executive authority of central government. Chief coordinator of central administration. So on. It deals with all major legislative financial matter. Explained already. Role of a cabinet. These are few scholars what they have said on cabinet minister. Like the first one says that cabinet is the steering wheel of ship of state. Then Lowell says that cabinet is the keystone of political arc. So this tells about the importance and how important a cabinet minister is. Then Sir John Marriott says cabinet is the pivot around which the whole political machinery revolves. So through this whole political machinery revolves. Then Gladstone says cabinet is the solar orbit around which the other bodies revolve. So it says that it's a solar orbit and the other bodies revolve around it. It is a solar orb. Barker says cabinet is the magnet of policy. So this is few thing about cabinet. The most important part in this Council of Ministers, it is the collective responsibility. And of course, it is divided into three. Understanding Council of Ministers. It is divided into three. The Cabinet Minister, the State Minister and Deputy Minister. Now this collective responsibility is given under Article 75. Clause 3rd, specifically Clause 3rd, which says that Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the House of People. That's it. And individual responsibility, principle of individual responsibility of the head, it is given under Article 75 Clause 2. So which again specifically says that minister they shall hold office during the pleasure of president. So though ministers are collectively responsible to the legislature, they are also individually responsible to executive head. And who is the executive head? The president. And therefore they are liable to dismissal even when they have the confidence of the legislature, because they are individually responsible. But since the prime minister, his advice will be all available in the matter of dismissing other ministers individually. So this power of president is not that. But what Article 2075 Clause 2 specifically says is about individual responsibility, and that's it. So, Council of Ministers is finished. If you think if anything else is left, then yes, as this point, okay. The role of cabinet, as it says. No, but okay, winding it up. Council of Ministers, they have many functions like legislative function, financial powers, there are executive powers given to them. So, Council of Ministers, it controls the legislature of the union government, that is parliament, right? What does it? It formulates its policy, submits and explains it to the parliament for approval. And since it holds a majority, they are always sure about the acceptance of this policy. So the entire legislation importance which is passed by parliament, it is all initiated by the ministers, Council of Ministers. That is the legislative function. Then the financial power given to the Council of Ministers, then that is cabinet is the one who controls the financial policy of union. It is the finance minister who submits the budget to the parliament, right? Parliament approves the budget expenditure and revenue item. So that is a huge financial power given to the cabinet. Then executive power. Council of Ministers is the executive of union. Ministers preside over the various departments of government and they give the direction to administration. So this is about all executive, legislative, judicial power. It has a huge role. And Prime Minister is the one who determines the composition of Council of Ministers as well as its inner court, the cabinet. It is the Prime Minister who determines its composition. Then that's it. We have concluded it. Thank you. In the next class, we will be doing the other topic on the president. We will see the second unit, which is about emergency. Thank you.